So we're actually going to start lying on the floor today, which is a nice place to be. Have your brick, if you have one, towards the front of the mat. You take the block a little bit to the back. We're just going to rest gently, which is it's a dynamic class, but we're going to start by dynamically resting. So I feel very dynamic down here on the floor. I'm going to keep my knees high, feet wide, and let the knees rock into the center just to release my lower back a little bit. And wriggle the hips out, shoulders underneath. It's the equivalent of me having a little bit of a shake out. And then settling the breath. We're going to be here for a couple of minutes. So we're going to wriggle the toes gently into the center line, and we'll draw the right knee into the chest. Just taking the hands around the shin and lengthening the leg out slowly. So it's Apanasana is the pose, believe it or not, which is basically saying drawing one leg, one foot in towards the body. Now, although you're drawing the knee towards you and towards the armpit a little bit as it kind of opens out the hip, you're trying to send the sitting bones towards the front of the mat. And lengthen out through the left leg and have the toes point up towards the sky. Should just be getting a little bit of a vague feeling of the buttock on the left side, lengthening out with the leg. And then we'll swap over to the other side. So we just slide the heel back in, feet to the floor, take it to the second side. Just draw the knee down gently. And then when you're ready, we'll lengthen out the leg. We'll look down the leg to just check that the foot is pointing skywards. And then I'm going to bring both knees in towards the body and take the hands on top of the knees. And we're going to make some really big circles with the knees. So I'm going to draw them out to the side and move forwards, getting a little bit of tilt through the pelvis. As you draw the knees in towards the body, see if you can exhale, draw the belly in and let the tailbone lift away from the floor by just encouraging the abdominal muscles to contract. And I'm going to take it in the opposite direction. So exhaling away. Inhale on the drawing of the knees back in. Exhaling out. the feet come down to the floor again, keeping them in on the center line, taking the hands out nice and wide. We're just going to take a spiral twist. So I'll just offset the hips a little to the left so that the legs come down to the right. Some nice easy breaths, lengthening the pelvis away from the body. And bring the knees back and reset, taking them across to the opposite side. We'll come back into the center, realign the spine, and then keeping the knees high, wiggle the feet out as wide as the mat. We're going to flow gently, scissoring the legs over to the right. First of all, as we exhale, inhale back to the center, and exhale across. Inhaling up, and exhaling through. Your breath might be faster or slower, as you're moving with your breath, and sort of follow your own patterns. And drawing the knees back up to the center. Can we walk the feet into the center line? We'll take the left leg to the sky, just stretch that out, flex the foot, turn the toes to the outside edge as you bend your knee, coming into the figure four. So I'm going to draw that left knee forwards a little bit, keeping the foot flexed, and then bring the right knee in, bring the hands through and around the back of the thigh or the shin. Whatever is easy for you to get hold of, but you want to keep the spine flat to the floor. So if you've gone for the shin, but it's rounded your back, just drop yourself back a phase. You just have to flex both feet. Continue to let that left knee move towards the front of the mat. And we're going to release that leg. Take it out to the sky again, give a little shake and bring it down to the floor. We take the opposite leg up. Inhale, and then turn and bend, flex, and slowly draw the left leg in, taking the hands around the back of the thigh or the shin. You might find you're different on one side to the other, not a problem. Remember to flex both feet. So hopefully feeling a little bit of a stretch into the hips and into the buttocks. And then we'll finally release from there. Take the leg to the sky again, give a little roll out, leg to the sky, and then over to the right side, just using the hands to lift ourselves back up. So as we come into sitting, I'm going to take my block and just allow myself to take that towards the heels, sitting back down onto the block so the heels are either side of the hips, the knees are together, coming into hero's pose. Sitting up nice and tall, we're going to take the arms out wide and we're going to bring that left arm across, right arm over the top. See if we can bend at the elbows. And then, first of all, we'll let the elbows drop in towards the chest. And see if we can squeeze the shoulder blades together a little bit so you feel the shoulders draw back as you do that. And then attempt to lift the elbows to the height of the shoulders without letting the shoulders rise up. And we'll release the arms out, float them out to the side as you breathe in, cross them over the opposite way, roll the shoulders back, exhale, let those elbows lift a little higher. And we'll release from there. I'm going to come up a little bit, move the block out to the side, bringing the feet in just a little bit so the heels were now more lined up with the sitting bones. Tuck the toes underneath and sit back for that toe stretch that we love to do. When I say love to do, yeah. And then if it feels okay, let ourselves lift a little higher. So remember those heels are in towards the sitting bones. If they sort of flare out to the sides a little bit, you don't quite get the same stretch into the arch of the foot. It's really down that big toe and the inside arch that we're working into. And we'll ease the hands down to the floor. And just untap the toes, you can give a little tap out. Give them a little stretch, maybe roll the ankles around a bit as well. And then we're going to take the knees wide and bring the toes together. We're going to sit down gently into child's pose. So just easing in, making sure the knees and the calves and the ankles are happy with our position. And then lowering the chest down towards the floor. Giving a nice long spine. I'm going to take a little breath here and see if you can turn the palms towards the sky. So thumbs out to the edges, little finger in towards the center. Stretching the fingers forwards. And bring the hands back down to the ground. We'll take it into a side bend to the right. And we'll lift. And take it over to the left. Come back into the center. And we're going to take this into a little bit of a twist. So we're going to lift up a little bit so we can look towards the hands, but still being in that child's pose. Going to take the left hand under, out to the right side, palm faces down. I'm going to lay the shoulder down onto the ground and see if we can walk the right hand forwards. Let ourselves take the hand over towards the left side. So rotating the chest around to the right side of the mat. Try to keep the palms flat to the floor. It's more natural for it to be up towards the sky, but we're going to try and place it down a little bit. You'll feel the difference in the shoulder if you move from one to the other. And we'll let ourselves release. So just bring the hands back. Press into the floor to lift up. Take the hands out. Take a little breath. And we'll cross that right hand over. Lay down and then walk that left hand out and over towards the right side. You want to try and keep the arms straight rather than bending the elbow to take the hand over. So you might find that you don't feel that you moved as far on one side to the other. That's more to do with the fact that the ribs are a little bit uneven one side to the body to the other. And then we'll lift back out of that. So we'll just bring the hand back out in front, lift up, and we'll come out of this. Bring the knees back underneath onto tabletop. We'll just stretch the legs out a little bit behind for once on each side. And then we'll take cat-cow, just a couple of rounds. Drawing forwards, exhaling out. And continue. Just rolling gently. And then we'll come into a neutral spine. We'll tuck the toes underneath and to a down dog. You're going to stretch that out a little bit, so you can choose, depending on how you feel, to walk the legs out, be static. Maybe you want to take a three-legged dog, your choice. And then from a steady position in down dog, we'll walk the hands to the toes. So feet want to be about hip distance apart and parallel. Just walking the fingers in, wrapping the body down onto the thighs. Taking a little bit of a bend into the knees so that the hamstrings can actually stretch more naturally. And we'll bring the hands onto the shins to lift up halfway. And exhale down. Come up halfway again. You might find that you need to bend the knees a little bit as you come down to get those ribs and thighs to touch. So I'd encourage you to use that rather than hoping that your back will open out for you. Try and open up the hamstrings a little bit. Ease them in. Come up for the last time. Exhaling down. I'm going to walk the hands forwards just a little bit. Sit the bottom down. We're coming into a very deep chair pose. So lengthen the arms out in front. I'll bring the hands back in towards the heart. Let the legs straighten out. Hinge forwards and fold back down to the floor. Now soften the knees again. Walk those hands forwards. Take the hands away from the ground. Allow ourselves to come up into our chair pose. Bring the hands in towards the heart. Lengthen forwards and down. And sit back deep again. Float the arms out in front. Hands into the heart. Hinge forwards and float it down. We'll bring the hands onto the hips this time. Lengthen the chest forwards and lift up. Inhale the hands above the head. And then in towards the heart. Take 3 of these. Last one. Now we'll take 3 of those with the eyes closed. Test your balance. Try to let the toes relax. Last time, lifting up. And as you bring your hands in towards your heart, allow the eyes to open. We'll shake it all out and come up to the front of the mat. We'll take a little breath from here. Stand in the front of the mat, feet hip distance apart. Take the arms high on the breath in, into the heart, folding down towards the floor. And from here, we'll take the right foot to the back of the mat into a long step, lunge, and press out through the heels. You're going to try and lift the chest a little bit, so just keeping the fingertips lightly on the floor. Think about keeping the hips square. Sometimes we can kind of turn the hip out to the left a little bit as we do this. So think about trying to keep the pelvis aligned to the center of the mat. We'll take a little breath from here. We'll step back into down dog, just for a few breaths. And we'll draw the right knee into the chest. This time we'll bring the foot through. So we're swapping the lunge to the opposite side. Again, working out through that back leg so you can start to feel the butt engage. Chest is lifted, so it's easy to breathe. Belly's drawn in slightly. We'll push off the toes to the forward fold in the exhale. Bring the hands onto the hips and let ourselves lift up. Inhale high. Bring the hands into the heart. Exhale down. Right foot to the back of the mat. Knee to the floor. Let the hands lift forwards and up. Bring the hands back in towards the heart. You're going to rotate the body to the left as you exhale. Take a breath in. Take it into the twist. We're just drawing ourselves round, lifting the chest. Bring the hands to the floor. Take a little breath. Put the toe on the back foot. We'll step into the forward fold. Hands onto the hips, we lift up. We inhale high. Into the heart. We'll take it to the second side. So exhaling down. Left leg back. Knee to the floor. Hands lift forwards and up. Bring the hands in towards the heart. Inhale as you rotate to the right. Exhale over the thigh. Press the hands together, lift the chest. And then we'll bring the hands to the floor. Tap the toe again. Press out into the forward fold, hands under the hips, and let ourselves lift up. Inhale high. Hands through the heart. Shake it all out. It's a nice easy start. And then when we're ready, we'll take the hands high again, inhale. Hands into the heart and exhale down and forwards. We're taking the right foot to the back and dropping the heel in. And bring hands alongside the body to lift the body up a little bit. We'll open up into Warrior Two. Strong legs, even effort through back and front. Instead of pressing down through the feet, get a little bit of rebound through the body. We'll take the hands above the shoulders, rotate and lengthen out forwards and down. We'll step it back into our down dog. Float forwards into the plank. Take a breath. Come forwards into the half plank. Knees can come to the floor if you wish. Taking that up dog into down dog. And drawing the right knee into the chest, bringing the foot through. Taking a little breath, push off the toes on the back foot. Hands onto the hips and we lift up. Inhale high. Hands through the heart, exhaling over. Taking that left foot back and dropping the heel in. Hands alongside the body, we lift. Cartwheel open. Take the hands towards the sky. Rotate, lengthen out. Keep the arms stretching out. Then down to the floor. We step it back into our down dog. Take the breath in into our plank. Exhale. Take another breath. Half plank. To up dog. Into the down dog. And draw that left knee in. Bring the foot through. Press off the toes. Hands to the hips, long spine, flat and long. Inhaling up. Hands into the heart, we exhale down. Right foot to the back of the mat. Keeping the knee away from the ground, lift the fingers off the ground towards the hips, lift the body. Slowly take the hands out and lift up. Now I'm going to take the elbows out to the side. Make little cactus arms. Draw the elbows back. Clench the fists as you do this. And then release, take the hands towards the sky. Fold it forwards, down to the floor. We step back into our down dog. We come forwards into our plank. Exhale, take another breath here. Come into the half plank on the exhale. Breath in for up dog, strong legs. Down dog. And draw the right knee in, foot through into the lunge. Press off the toes. Forward fold. Hands to the hips with a lift. Inhale high. Hands into the heart, we exhale down. Left foot back. It's the high lunge to high crescent. So fingers come away, we lift, shoulder blades squeeze a little bit. Hands float out on the inhale. The exhale is used to lift up. When you find your balance, you take the elbows out to the side, little fists, squeeze the elbows and the shoulder blades towards the back of the mat. Release the hands back up towards the sky. Lengthen out forwards, down to the floor. We step back into our down dog. And come forwards into the plank and breathe. Take another breath in. Come into the half plank on the exhale. Up dog on the breath. Exhale into down dog. We'll draw the left knee in, bring it into the lunge. Take a little breath. Press it into the forward fold. Hands onto the hips. Soft knees, flat backs, inhale high. We'll bring the hands in towards the heart and close the eyes. And stay here for a moment. Okay, we just want to test the balance. So allow yourself to just stretch out the toes a little bit, give them a wriggle, and then let them flatten back down to the floor. We're in Tadasana, trying to keep the even weight through the foot. Strong and relaxed all at the same time. Let us open the eyes and drop the hands down. Just shake it out a little bit. So we're going to make use of that brick at the front of the block. We're going to go through a little sequence and we're going to throw in a half moon pose there. So hopefully you remember what that is, but it's the pose where we have one hand on the floor, one leg pointed forwards, and the other leg comes out to the side. So it should be fun. We'll take the hands to the sky on the inhale. Hands through the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Now have the brick over on your left side a little bit. Now take a breath here and allow the right foot to go back. We'll come into our warrior two. So we'll bring the hands alongside as we do. We'll lift up and open. Take a little time to settle. really just take a little check that your front foot is actually pointing forwards and not out to the side, even if it's a couple of degrees. Just give it a little shift around. And then bring the hands behind your back and interlace the fingers. We're going to take humble warrior. So we're going to turn the chest and the hips. Let ourselves lengthen the body out over that front thigh. Take a breath and then fold the body onto the inside of the thigh. Try to keep the hips over the center line. Raising the hands towards the sky. Head drops, shoulders squeeze together. Now we'll let the hands come down to the floor. We're going to step back into a down dog. And we're going to slowly lift up that left leg into a scissor. We'll bring it back down to the floor. We'll take the right leg to the sky. Draw the knee in towards the chest and come into a lunge. Find the brick and just take it a little out in front of the right foot. But it's a little bit centered, more to the center than it is to the outside. You're going to place the hand on the brick. Now you can have the brick flat to the floor or you can have it higher. You're going to take a little breath. You're going to press off the back toes and lift the foot away from the floor. Now start to turn the raised foot to the side of the mat to let the hips open. Find your balance point by just adjusting the block underneath your shoulder. Now slowly take the left hand away from the floor and bring it onto your head. Turn the chest a little bit further to the side, nice and slow. And then see if you can extend the left hand towards the sky. Palm faces out to the side of the mat. Strong leg, we're pressing out through both feet and heels. If you want to come a little higher, you can come off of the brick and lift yourself up just that extra little bit. Ooh, just even thinking about that made me wobble. And then we come back down to the brick. Soften the front knee back into the lunge. So bring the hands to the floor. Take a little breath and step it forwards into the front of the mat. And take a breath, bring the hands onto the hips and let the hips lift up towards the sky. Now, in my defense, I had this urge to look to the screen in half moon to see if you guys were still standing up. I think that comes from the fact I'm so used to teaching in the studio. And just the thought of doing that threw my balance out completely. There's no way my head was going to turn that way. Why I thought it was a good idea, God knows. Last little breath, shaking it out, and then we'll take it to the second side. So inhale up. Hands into the heart. Exhale down, slow. Left foot slides back into the lunge. We drop the heel in, ready for our warrior two. Bring the hands alongside, lift, open it up. Check your front foot position. Both feet working into the ground. Feeling the buttocks lift a little bit, along with the thighs. We'll take the hands behind the back, interlace and draw the hands down, the ribs in a little. Rotate towards the front of the mat. We'll come into that humble warrior for the second side. We'll lengthen out first, keep the front knee in the same position, and then fold down. And let the hands lift. Try and keep the hips over the center line. The crown of the head points to the floor. Eyes look towards the back foot. And then we'll let the hands come to the floor, step it back into the down dog. It's a scissor dog, so that right leg is going to lift up high. And then we'll let that leg come down to the floor. We'll take the left leg high. Bring the knee in towards the chest. Bring the foot through to the front of the mat. So we're going to take our block again. Have a little play. Allow ourselves to take one hand onto the block. Lift. Find that nice place for the block underneath the shoulder. Allow yourself to turn the foot out to the side to open up the hip. It's a strong leg, the foot stays flexed as we press out. When you think you're ready, we'll take the hand onto the hip. Slowly start to turn the chest a little more. That's the tricky bit. You can kind of sort of overwork into the hip if you're not careful and pull yourself over. And then see if we can gently take that right hand up towards the sky. Again, there's the lift there if you want. Oops, wobbling around today. And then we'll soften the front knee, come back into the lunge, hands to the floor, take a little breath, and then step gently into the front of the mat. You stay here for a moment and wiggle the toes together. Have a little gap for the heels still, and then see if you can bring your hands gently around the back of your calves. Just take hold of the hand or the wrist. Take a breath in, and then see if you can gently, and I mean gently, take your hands towards the floor. So fold yourself in a little bit. If you push too hard, you'll just kind of overwork the hamstrings. They'll tighten up and not give to you. But if you take it slow, the body will slowly fold in a little bit. And let you lift up. And then we'll release. Take a little breath. Lengthen the chest forwards. Take the feet out again, just hip distance apart. Bring the hands onto the hips and let ourselves lift up. Now, as you do, we'll take the hands towards the sky and bring them just in towards the heart. Let them stay there for a moment. Going to lean into the right foot, slide the left foot back until it just feels like the toes have run out of reach. And then sit into the heel. So we start to get ready for a pyramid pose with the legs. So bring the hands onto the hips, fingertips forwards, thumbs to the back of the spine. Draw the shoulders back, belly in. Going to extend out. And over that front thigh. And then bring the hands down onto the shin. And see if we can slide the hands down towards the floor. And we'll bring the hands back onto the hips. Start to lengthen the chest forwards, a little softness into the front knee from wherever you are. Allow yourself to step back into that hip distance position. Take the hands high on the breath in and into the heart. Allow yourself to take the weight into the left foot, slide the right foot back, drop the heel in. So the feet stay about hip distance apart, toes pointing forwards. Hands come onto the hips, shoulders back and belly in. Lengthen slowly over a straight front leg. I'm going to keep pressing the back heel down into the floor. Come as low as you can. Then bring the hands onto the top of the shin, take a breath, and fold as you slide the hands down towards the ground. Bring the hands back on to the hips, just lengthening the chest forwards and putting a soft touch into the knee. Lift up slowly. Get those feet to do a lot of work this morning, stepping it forwards and just shaking out the legs a little bit. We'll take the hands towards the sky as we breathe in. Hands in towards the heart. Now I'm going to take a step to my right because then I can see the screen. So whatever's the easiest way for you to turn. Right? I'm going to take this to one side. So allow yourself to get comfortable. I'm going to take the feet out nice and wide. So shimmy them out. Take a little breath. And the first time around, we're going to take the toes in, heels out, hands onto the hips. Straight legs, lengthen the body over the hips and down towards the floor. Bring the fingertips onto the ground. Allow ourselves to lengthen forwards with the chest, tailbone back. Just reworking the feet so you can release the toes, get the foot flat to the floor. And then we're going to lengthen the body over the thighs and sink down towards the floor. Now you do want to think about drawing the shoulders broad and wide so they're away from the ears. And we're trying to let ourselves hang rather than, it could be easy to fall into a trap of pulling yourself in. We just want to let ourselves enjoy gravity working for us for a change. Our legs are trembling and they're joining in with mine. We're going to let ourselves lift up. Take a little breath and walk the fingers gently around to the long side, from the long side to the front of the mat. We'll step back just gently into down dog. Bring the knees to the floor. We'll sit back onto the heels for a moment and just take the flat block behind the feet. We're going to come into a squat. So I want to squat with the heels on the block. So fingers forwards, tuck the toes underneath, lay the feet into the corner edges, let the knees come wide, and bring the hands in towards the heart. And just open the thighs out gently by pressing those elbows into the thighs and lifting the chest up and shoulders back. I'm not going to be here for terribly long. So we're going to release from here and take the legs out in front. We're going to come straight into a seated twist. So our left foot is going to come under today. Right foot goes over. Left arm lifts, rotate towards the right. Take the counter lever. We'll release. Lengthen the legs out. Taking the feet around. And over. Right arm lifts. Rotate to the left. And release from there as well. So, I'm going to take the legs out again in front. We're going to take something called a heron pose. So we're going to draw the left foot in towards the groin. So it's not quite the same position as it would be if it was out to the side. I want the leg a little bit more, rather than the, if I was coming into seated twist, I'd wrap the foot round and my knee would be pointing forwards. With this, the heel's a little bit more to the groin and the knees a little bit more out to the corner. I'm going to draw the right foot in and just flex the foot so I can take my hands underneath the ball of joints of my foot. Lift the heel away so I can get a slightly stronger, fatter chest and spine. Draw the foot up to about the height of the knee. Now I'm going to draw the knee in towards my chest as forcefully as I can with my hands, drawing my shoulders back. I'm going to hold that for about 30 seconds. It's a particular type of stretch. And 30 seconds, this feels like a really long time. We are trying to focus on keeping the body upright, and we're using that left shin as a foundation as well as the sitting bones on the block, or if they're on the floor. Right, we'll take a little breath from there. Now we're going to see if we can extend the leg out and up towards the sky. And keeping the foot flexed. Draw the shoulders back. See if you can press out through the heel a little bit. Last breath and release. And then we'll take it to the second side. So we'll take the legs out first, give them a little shake. So the right heel to the groin, so the knees out to the side. You'll take a little breath from there. Draw the left foot in. Allow yourself to take the hands around the sole of the foot and the ball joint. Lift the heel off the ground so you get that little bit of a lift. And then as we exhale, draw the foot up to about the height of the knee and draw the knee in. Again, just draw the shoulders back. Now I notice that when I do the other leg, my foot very easily points up towards the sky. On this side, my foot kind of turns around a little bit, so I get a bit more unintended rotation into the hip as I do this. So there's some definite differences in the side of the body. We'll take a last breath, and then we can lengthen the foot up towards the sky. And we're trying to draw the shoulders back a little bit, press out through the heel. Get a little bit of internal rotation in the thigh if it's turned out to the side. I don't have to really worry about that on the other leg, but I do on this side. Last breath in. And then we can release. Whew. So I'm going to come down to the floor. And we're going to take a final little happy baby for about 30 seconds or so. So draw the block underneath the head if you like. Knees in towards the chest. I use my chin in towards my chest so I can slide my hand. Watch what I'm doing as I slide my hands down the shins. Wrap around. Keep the knees low and the feet actually move towards the front of the mat, so away from the head. So we're trying to encourage the tailbone down to the floor. Think about that more than perhaps focusing on getting the knees down lower. Don't worry about that too much. And then we'll release from there. Now, if your floor is a little cold, grab a quick extra layer on. We're going to come into Shavasana, but this time we're going to lengthen the legs out to the corner edges of the mat. Let the feet roll open. Just wriggle out through the hips. Wriggle under the shoulders. Just loosen the jaw as you close your eyes and breathe. And see if you can surrender and let everything sink down. to stretch those fingers and toes. Let the wrists and the ankles take some movement. Enjoy a big stretch. And let the knees come back in towards the body. Your choice on hugging or just rolling some circles with the knees in the sky. Keep it nice and gentle and soft. And then when you're ready, we'll just roll down onto our right side. And then we can lift gently from the floor. Bring ourselves back up to sitting. A little wriggle through the spine, hands into the heart. So take a breath in, closing the eyes. Let the chin drop. A gentle bow to the floor to seal the practice. Inhale, let the breath build the spine. With the head, open eyes. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me.